TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, we're the heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, baby, higher.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it is that time of the week for the Breakfast Bankroll with Paul Stone. Our last show for a handful of weeks. I'm going to wrap up the college football season. The headliner that I wrote, Irish get Buckeyed in NCAAF championship. Great game. Hats off to both teams. I think when the dust settles, they are who we thought they are. And I don't mean it in a negative way towards Notre Dame, because they're never quit their resiliency throughout the season, starting in week 3 after the Northern Illinois loss. And hats off to Marcus Freeman. And if the NFL comes calling, take the calls if you want. Please, please, please stick and stay at Notre Dame. You're building something special there. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, Amber, Holly, Jay Berry, Matt, myself. Trust me, 2025 will be epic. And WagerWire right now live in Barcelona. Check them out on LinkedIn and some other social media platforms as well. Viva Tequila Seltzer, 6 flavors in all, 2 new ones, lemon, and the East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. And last but never least, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. You know the drill. Jump on over to Facebook, introduce yourself to Terry Smith. Jump on over back to atlantasteaksandseafood.com. Steaks, chops, appetizers, wine, you name it, they got it. Use the promo code STEAKS10, get 10% off your full order, and take it a step further. It's still January, the first month of 2025. Why not start eating healthy? 4 subscription plans at Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Check one of the boxes that fits your budget, that fits your health, where you want to go. And every 30 days, open the door and bam, there you go. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Paul Stone.
Good morning, Jeff. Good to be with you here on a beautiful Thursday morning throughout our great nation, and another college football season now in the books, and a great season. I think it was a great first year for the 12-team playoff, and exciting game really for the most part this past Monday with Ohio State defeating Notre Dame 34-23 for the national championship.
And we'll go through the game, and it's funny how that game, one more play of Ohio State could have ran and it would have landed on 8, and there was a lot of 8.5 openers. So how Vegas does it again, but everyone back in the Ohio State side cashes. We jumped in. I thought the cheat code the whole time, Paul, was the Ohio State team total 27 and a half, 28. We got in on the first half over at 22 and a half, and it was great to see Notre Dame score on the opening drive. What wasn't great was 15 plays in 10 minutes. What was your thoughts with that methodical drive?
I mean, the way Notre Dame came out of the gate and that time-consuming drive as well, 18 plays, 75 yards. I don't know how many third down conversions they had, but just a very impressive time-consuming drive. And you thought, man, Ohio State is in some kind of trouble here. And certainly if you had a ticket on Ohio State -8 or -8.5, you didn't feel too comfortable after that 10-minute opening drive. But, of course, Ohio State, as history will show, I think they scored on their first 5 possessions of the game, 4 touchdowns, 1 field goal, and jumped out to, I guess they scored 31 unanswered and went ahead 31-7 there in the third quarter. But, boy, it looked like Notre Dame really was going to make things difficult on Ohio State's defense. But, they made some adjustments, and obviously their offense was everything that we thought it was. Will Howard played exceptionally during this 4-game national championship playoff run, only 2 interceptions, completed 75% of his throws. So, I always thought he was the key. If he played efficient football, took care of the football, and didn't let the interception bug hit him, I thought Ohio State was the best team in the country. And I think they were fortunate to get in, wouldn't have been in under the previous 4-team playoff structure. Neither them or Notre Dame would have been in the tournament with just 4 teams. But I think that's the plus side of this 12-team playoff. I know people are going to find things to gripe about and talk about blowouts and this, that, and the other. But you want to be sure that teams that are capable of winning the national championship are included. And in this case, we got the 2 teams that really – at the end probably deserve to be there. So that was a good thing. Like the NCAA basketball tournament, on the other hand, talking about expanding maybe to 72 teams or whatever, those teams at the end, they're just getting a check. They have no chance whatsoever of winning the tournament. So expanding the field to 12 teams in football certainly seems to have been a good decision by the powers that be. And now they're, I think, as early as, I don't know if it's late this week or early next week, one of the main committees or bodies or whatever will meet, and one of the discussions will be to tweak the process, and especially the seeding process and so forth.
Yeah, and the seeding, I guess when we look back, that will be the only complaint in regards to SMU and Boise State getting the first round buys and the weeks off, and both teams, getting blown out basically. And I'm going to ask you a hypothetical question. Not that Ohio State did this on purpose, because we know the rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan. And the fact is, you want to win and beat your arch rival, number one. Number two, you want a chance to play for the conference championship. That's the way this has always been. But taking a look, that loss, Ohio State to Michigan, was a wake-up call, number one. Number two, that gave them an extra week to prepare. Hey, we don't have to go and play the Big Ten championship here now. We can sit, rest, and some people even talked about Chip Kelly and his offensive plan against Michigan. The most vanilla we've seen it all year. Looking today, that was the play. That was, hey, we'll give someone else a shot at that game, Penn State. We'll sit back and we'll go on a 4-game run here.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have won that game over Michigan and then won the Big Ten championship game, they would have gone into the playoff on a 7-game win streak. And, they'd have been feeling fat and happy. And, I think, maybe not complacency. That might be too strong of a word, but you're feeling good about yourself. You maybe don't listen to the coaches quite as much. You're maybe not as attentive to the game plan and your individual preparation and things like that. But as it turns out, they lose at home, not just to anybody, but they lose to Michigan, and the locals just come unhinged as they tend to get there in Columbus, and they want Ryan Day. They want to fire him, and they're talking bad about their football team, and it's a big deal there. Obviously, they put a lot of stock into their rivalry with the team up north, as they like to call them. But I think in hindsight, you never want to lose a game. But boy, if there was ever a blessing in disguise by losing one, this team got re-energized. They got refocused. I think they got kind of pissed off, and it was kind of that us against the world. Coaches love to be able to adopt, that type of mantra and mentality, and they've grabbed the attention of their team now that you're not whatever you thought you were. Maybe you're not that. We got to hit a different gear, and they really did. I mean, they turned it on, won all their 4 playoff games by double digits. I think the Texas game was certainly a misleading final, and they had to kick the field goal at the end to get the cover and to get the double-digit win over Notre Dame. I think Ryan Day maybe saw the significance in that. If popularity probably goes up with the locals, because I don't think too many Buckeye fans were holding Notre Dame plus 8.5 tickets. So, I think there was some. I think in this day and age of the point spread being all over the place, and legalized sports betting in almost 40 states, maybe even 40 states now. I've lost count, but in most of the states across the country, I think coaches are certainly cognizant of it. And if it's always good to build up as much equity as you can, because you never know when you'll need it. So, Ohio State hit another gear. It came after that Michigan game. But to me, again, it just came down to the steady play of Will Howard. I mean, this guy, he thrown 35 career interceptions, 3% interception rate, which is really high, through a 5-year collegiate career, 4 years at Kansas State. And then this season in Ohio State, he's had interception problems. And he's fumbled the ball some too. He's just been kind of a turnover machine. But boy, in the playoffs, he just hit a different gear himself. 82 of 109, so 75% of his throws he connected on for 1,150 yards, averaged 10.6 yards per attempt, 8 touchdowns, only threw 2 interceptions. One of those pretty inconsequential that came against Tennessee with a 21-point lead. So Will Howard just when it came time to play, he juiced it up. And again, not just against any teams, but against 4 top 7 teams, Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame.
I'm going to start with Ohio State. They don't rebuild, they reload. Their wide receiving core every year just it just gets better and better. Marvin Harrison out. We'll just insert this freshman here. Bing, bang, boom. Quarterback, both sides of the ball, they were fabulous. Now I saw a tweet which was kind of funny earlier this week, Paul. The record in the first round for one team getting drafted was Georgia a couple of years ago. They had 15 players in the first round. Must have been Ohio State guy says they have a potential for 16 in the first round here. Thoughts of them into the NFL draft, number one. Number two, next year. I mean, it's so early. I've already seen numbers out for them against Michigan. I've seen championship odds. Who's going to tie their money up for a year? But what do we look for from Ryan Day and Ohio State next year?
Well, I think, as you mentioned, Ohio State's always going to be a place where NFL scouts are going to spend a lot of time and going to draft a lot of players. I mean, they've got the program. I think right now, I would say Ohio State and Texas and maybe Notre Dame just a little bit behind. I think they're the program's positioned best for success over the next 3 to 4 years. And Ohio State's certainly been a constant over the past decade or so, and you mentioned the wide receiver position. I mean, that's such a significant position in today's college football. And they've been so good at the wide receiver position and so deep. And it causes problems for teams. Not only are they good, but when they can put 3 wide receivers on the field like they did this year with the true freshman Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Ibuka and then Carnell Tate, who's covering Tate? Tate's your number 3 guy, and most people don't have 2 shutdown corners, much less 3. You got to put a strong safety on him or bring a nickel back, and those guys are playing those positions for a number of reasons, but one of them probably is they're not as good of cover guys as the starting cornerbacks. So they cause tremendous matchup problems with the depth of wide receivers that they've had historically here recently. And it just continues. And like you said, it's overused, but they do not rebuild. They reload. They're losing a lot of players, but they're probably going to be the preseason number one. Texas probably going to be preseason number two. And those teams are meeting the first week of the season. I believe it's Saturday, August 30th in Columbus. I think FanDuel currently has Ohio State as a 3.5-point favorite. I take that back. FanDuel has them as a 4.5-point favorite. DraftKings, I believe, has Ohio State as a 3.5-point favorite. So a big game of the year, probably 1 and 2 right off the bat. But Ohio State, first of all, will more than likely replace their quarterback, Will Howard, with a sensational recruit who originally signed with Alabama, but enrolled early this past January or December. And then when Nick Saban surprisingly announced his retirement, Julian transferred to Ohio State. He played in 4 games this year, mostly mop-up duty, only threw a total of 12 passes, but he's a big-time recruit out of Carlsbad, California, and he's the Buckeyes' likely starting quarterback. They've gotten out of the portal C.J. Donaldson, a running back out of West Virginia. If Quinshon Judkins comes back, they're going to be really loaded at running back. Jeremiah Smith, a true sophomore next year, will obviously be back. Losing a lot of guys on defense. They will have Caleb Downs back at safety, arguably the best defensive back in all of college football. So they'll fill in guys. They're not having to put guys who are untalented in positions that aren't up to the task. They're just having to put guys who are inexperienced. And as they gain that experience, they'll be, who they've been the last several years. So really going to be interesting. And Ohio State, they and Texas both are going to have a lot of players drafted this year. Texas is thinking in terms of possibly up to 15 draftees. So those two programs are really, really loaded. And it's a great thing that they're playing the first week of the season. And hopefully games like this will never be eliminated by the committee overweighting one-loss records and not looking closely enough at strength of schedule.
Well, and Notre Dame, for instance, this past year opened up at Texas A&M, and that was a hard-fought victory. And then obviously we know what happened week 2, the letdown against Northern Illinois, and the rest is history there. I want to piggyback, big Texas fan, obviously. It's Archie's team moving forward. What is the outlook for Texas moving into next year?
Well, a lot of it's just based on, the prominent players. And I think Arch Manning certainly is driving some of that, but I fully expect Texas will be ranked number 2, maybe number 3 in the nation in the preseason. They've got Arch Manning. They've got a real talented stable of running backs. The player who was expected to be the starting running back this year, who ended the year as a true freshman in 2023, is really their top back, C.J. Baxter out of Florida. If you recall, he was hurt in August drills, lost for the season. He's expected to be back at full health. They're losing 4 members of their offensive line, which is going to be significant how they replace those guys. They have recruited well at that position, as well as all positions for the most part, the last few years under Sark. They'll also be replacing 3/4 of the secondary. The secondary, I believe, was the best in the country. So there's some changes to be made there. But with Arch Manning, even though they lose a couple of receivers in Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond, they're really deep at the receiver position. So it's going to be offensively, how quickly does Arch adapt to the college game? Because he hadn't played a whole lot of college football. Got 2 starts this past season when Ewers was hurt, but he still hadn't taken a ton of snaps. How quickly will he adapt, and how will that offensive line gel and come together? And then defensively, of course, the secondary losses that we talked about. But they've got some players up front. I mean, Colin Simmons at defensive end, linebacker Anthony Hill. Their first round, if you could get a ticket right now, will these guys be drafted first round, both at even money? You would take it, because Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill are big-time players, and they'll be back. Simmons again at defensive end, Hill at linebacker. So the future's bright, and Sarkisian's building a a solid program that's kind of sustaining itself at this point. And obviously they need to take that next step because they didn't didn't get there, although they could have. I've seen people talk about the Ohio State-Texas game as if Ohio State dominated it. They had 300. I'm trying to think how many yards they had. I don't think I have it in any notes, but they had that 75-yard screen pass to Travion Henderson at the end of the half that made it 14-7 for 75 yards there. But even with that, I think they definitely ended up with less than 400. I think 379 yards against Texas did Ohio State have. Had 441 against Notre Dame, even though they hit the brakes pretty early because they got out to a 31-7 lead and, kind of went conservative because they were in front by such a margin. So, it'll be they were almost there, and they were in position to tie the game and send it to overtime. And if they would have beat Ohio State, I think they would have probably won the national championship this year. So program definitely in good shape, and all eyes are on Arch Manning now. The expectations are going to be through the roof. If anybody can handle it, he can. But, he's going to have some growing pains. He's not going to come out and be, the best thing since sliced bread right out of the gate. It will take time, but he's an exciting player. He's got great energy. He can run the football. I don't think at this point he's going to be running it a ton because, they didn't sign Arch Manning and didn't recruit him for 5 years to have him run the football. He's going to be throwing it. But exciting times there in Austin and certainly exciting times in Columbus, Ohio.
Well, the thing that sticks out, what you were just saying, is losing the 4 offensive linemen. And if you look back at the playoff run and the last couple of games leading up to that, the running game was non-existent. And again, when you got a 1-2 punch, when you can run and throw, obviously that sets the defense back. But when the ineffectiveness, it wasn't like Sark wasn't trying to run the ball; they just couldn't run the ball, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, that offensive line, it was a mild disappointment, to put it mildly, in my opinion, the play of Texas's offensive line this year. This is a veteran offensive line with just a zillion starts between them, all multi-year starters. Kelvin Banks will be probably a top 10 pick at left tackle in the April draft. And then right tackle, Cameron Williams, also a big-time guy who might be drafted on Thursday night as well. So just so much acclamation, so much of a reputation, preseason favorite to win the Joe Moore Award, symbolic of the nation's best offensive line. But when it came time to get physical and push people around, it wasn't all their fault, but certainly they just didn't create space like you would have hoped. It hurt them when they lost Baxter in the preseason. Every team sustains injuries. Trey Wisner did a great job. But he's not as physical as Baxter. He's not a guy, he's more shifty than he is a guy who's going to get a lot of yards after contact. So they could have used C.J. Baxter, but that's part of the deal. You have injuries. But that offensive line, there's no question. They could not line up in third and 1.5 yards and be confident that they could run the football for that yardage against a quality opponent.
You talked about the left tackle Banks. That name's been floating around here. The Patriots have the number 4 pick. We need a left and a right tackle, obviously, to protect Drake May. I saw yesterday Tennessee floating around, just one of the social media accounts, Travis Hunter as the number 1 pick. And you remember what obviously Abdul Carter did for Penn State. That's the guy that the Patriots want. I don't think he'll be there at 4. We've talked about the quarterbacks, the Shedeur Sanders, the Cam Wards. Is Banks someone that you would feel comfortable as a Patriot fan? Now, I don't know if they could even trade down a couple spots. You talked about top 10. Is he someone that you're confident in taking his game from the college to the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, he was a big time recruit, probably the top left tackle recruit coming out of high school out of the state of Texas, originally committed to Oregon before shifting his commitment to Texas. But, he's just been a dominant player at every level. And, as NFL teams draft based on need. And, certainly I think he's going to go in the top 10. And if a team has a glaring need, obviously left tackle is a critical position in both the college game and the NFL game, maybe even more so in the NFL game, because you're going to have somebody on that opposing defensive front who can rush the quarterback big time. So you got to have a left tackle to protect the quarterback's blind side. So Kelvin Banks, somebody's going to take him, I think, in the top 10. And if the Patriots have that need, he'd probably be one of the guys they'll be heavily discussing.
The not too early to talk about 2025 season, again, with NIL, with the transfer portal, with coaches still moving, who's coming in, who's leaving. And I'm obviously not going to hold you to this. You talked a lot about Ohio State. We talked about Texas, of course. Give us maybe a couple sleepers or some teams to maybe look out for, or to do your due diligence homework, because when those early lines come out June, July for the games of the year, a lot of people won't be ready for them.
Yeah. And again, there's several early lines out at both FanDuel and DraftKings already. So it's just insane that this is a year-round exercise these days. But I think a team, I don't think they're necessarily going to win the national championship, but they're going to be preseason top 10, I think, without question. And he's a coach who's been reluctant to join in the transfer portal era, but has finally gotten started with it and decided he better join up. But Dabo Swinney and Clemson, the way that Cade Klubnik played at the end of the year, a guy out of my home state of Texas, went to Austin Westlake, a very tradition-rich program here in the state of Texas. But Klubnik, man, I tell you, he was against Texas. He was spot on, just made every throw. He's got a big-time arm. He can run the football, and they've got a lot of people back. They're going to be they're pretty you can't ever guess for sure who may or may not enter the portal during the spring period. But Clemson looks like a team that's not going to lose any more players of significance through the portal. So Clemson, I think, is a team that, especially in that conference, that might be, they're probably a good pick to make the 12-team playoff again. It might be a good sleeper. I think they're 20-1 right now at Circa. But I think they're a team to watch that a lot of people might not be thinking about right now. But again, they return a big-time quarterback, got a lot of talent coming back, and don't have any real glaring weaknesses.
In that ACC, Clemson you're talking about now, will Miami take a big drop back, or we're expecting them to stick and stay where they were last year?
I mean, obviously, they had a great offense, and they've lost Cam Ward and some others on that offense. Miami does have a very effective NIL machine down there, so they're not going to, be left playing a bunch of bums. So I think they'll be all right. But I certainly think they're going to take a step back, because they averaged, I'm sure I don't have it in front of me, but over 40 points a game this year. One of the very top offenses in all of college football. And I just can't imagine that they're going to be quite at that level going into 2025.
Well, I work at the BC home games. We'll be blessed this year with not just Clemson coming to town. We have Notre Dame coming to town as well. So the Heights will be rocking in September. As I said in the intro, our last show for now in college football. Going to take a handful of weeks off, let the college basketball play out in the regular season. Hope to have you back, if not for some conference championship talk, obviously for March Madness. But as we always end this segment, Paul, everyone knows our next way to find you at Paul Stone Sports, but talk about your website as well.
Yeah, if people want to take their interest a step further, Jeff, I have a website. You can see what products I offer there. My website, paulstonesports.org. Again, that's paulstonesports.org.
Paul, we're blessed and honored to have you here. Enjoy the rest of the regular season in college hoops. Best of luck, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Same to you, Jeff. Have a great rest of the college basketball season, and we'll be in touch down the road. Thank you for having me this year.
Thank you. Paul Stone, go follow him at Paul Stone Sports. Check out the website at paulstonesports.org. Next up, good friend and colleague, I call him Mr. Smooth, Sean Alvarez, to talk some horses and a big horse race this weekend on Saturday. Stay tuned.
Jared, hey, we're going to need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of the stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
That's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Well, it's been a while, and I'm going to have to do one more change here, but let's bring him in. Mr. Sean Alvarez. What's up, Sean?
Oh, it's always an exciting time when I get to talk horse racing with you. I know I bring it up every time, but it's definitely a joy of mine to talk four-legged animals running in an oval with you.
Well, it's been a little while. How's your new year been?
It's been a little while. New Year's good. Unlike everybody else, all excited about NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl, I am burnt out with NFL and handicapping NFL. The Circa Millions was quite the grind, and I'm thrilled to do it, and I'm thrilled it's over. If that makes sense.
Well, before we jump into the horses here, give us a little feel. I mean, listen, we know I've been a part of the Circa for a handful of years. I've been a part of the Westgate contest. That's where I met our good friend, Miss Kelly Stewart, Miss Kelly in Vegas. She was my proxy for a handful of years, her and Brett. But the it's almost like the build-up, whether you're going out there in July, August to sign up, you could do all your notes, all your homework, whether it's the Survivor, whether it's the Pick 5 each week, and, how you doing each week, each quarter. Take us through the process and take us through your year, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think, don't get me wrong, I had a great time, playing in the contest, and obviously cashing was beyond my expectations and very exciting. But, a lot of the excitement is making the trip to Vegas. Now, I live in Vegas, so my trip is only a 10-minute Lyft ride or Uber ride. But, everybody coming into town, signing up, doing their entries. Basically, everybody's tied for first going into week one. It's all that, excitement and, the buildup going around it. It's really fun. And even halfway through the contest, everybody, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people still, are still alive in it. Doesn't really, not that it doesn't matter how you did, you can always make a big run in the last half. It's a lot of excitement. I've been lucky enough to meet a handful of guys and handful of gentlemen that have cashed in the Circa Millions, whether it's, Tony Durbify, who won the Circa Millions, or Matt Saint that has cashed quarters, or, Spooky that has won money in Survivor. Being able to, call them up and text them. And, we're not talking about what do you like in the Vikings Jets game. We're talking contest strategy and what do you think other people are going to do? How are you going to pivot to be different? We've talked in years past of, being in horse racing contests, and I do love to bet horse racing daily, but horse racing contests are, something I really enjoy, and being a part of something like Circa Millions and being a part of, the grind late in the season and, getting on the phone with your friends and people you respect and going over, how you're going to be different and how you're going to pivot is definitely more thrilling than I thought it was going to be. And like I said, I am definitely glad it's over. I'm exhausted. And, waiting, when you're handicapping Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's like, well, can they just play the game already? My picks are in. But yeah, I got lucky enough to cash tied for 78. That wasn't all the, the most money in the world, but being in that top 100, being in the Circa Millions and Survivor award ceremony, hanging out with Derek and the crew that weekend and all the people that won money, that meant more than the money meant to me. And it just beyond humbled to be a part of that kind of group.
My claim to fame was the first year I had met Kelly Stewart at the Westgate, and they were actually she was interviewing people for the action for 4-week series on Showtime, and I had never met Kelly, and I was just in awe. And then who's sitting next to him? Bill Krakenberger. I was able to meet Bill as well, and we got to the last week of the Westgate, and this is before all the quarters and all that. And my goal again was to cash, like you said, and my real goal was to beat Brent Musburger. That was my goal. And going into the last week, he was 39th, I was 40th. And so, top 5, top 10 of the big paydays. And then after, there's some good paydays there. But I wanted to, beat Brent. But number 2 is I wanted to make a splash. I wanted to go for the Ferrari. And on the Monday night game, the Colts were playing. They were at the Titans, and the Titans were missing their quarterback. They were missing a lot of people. And I says, I'm going to be the separator. I'm going to take the Titans. Everyone I know has a free bingo square on the Colts. Colts first drive, touchdown. Second drive, pick 6, 14-0. Thanks for playing. I finish outside the top 100. Brett finishes inside the 30, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I had a similar outcome. I kind of, overthought myself and used the Minnesota-Detroit game, and I knew that a majority was going to be on Detroit. So I pivoted, went Minnesota, but it also gave me a little bit of a hedge opportunity because I was around, I want to say 45th, 46th around that time. So it was trying to do the math of, well, if Detroit wins and covers, where do I fall? How much money do I make if Minnesota wins? Let's do a little bit of a middle here. Obviously wasn't near the top where, I had to go see our friend Will Case at Circa and get a little bit of a loan, but a little bit of a hedge opportunity. I did talk myself out of a winner. So, a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas, but, same thing with horse racing. You're going to watch a race. You're going to, kick yourself the next day and say, I should have taken that loan, cheap speed or, the long shot. There's always coulda, woulda, shouldas, especially in such a long season of the NFL, picking 5 games a week. So I could sit here and we can talk for 3 hours over different points of the Dallas kicker missing the 50-yard field goal that he hasn't missed since he was 12. That cost me a point. We could do this all day, but definitely a good NFL season. I'm glad it's over, and now I can just sit back and watch playoff football and Super Bowl football and not be as stressed out as I was during the season.
Before we get to the Pegasus World Cup 2025 on Saturday, 5:40 Eastern time at Gulfstream Park in Florida, I usually send you a snapshot every once in a while when I see them. We got some time till the first Saturday in May in the Run for the Roses in the Kentucky Derby, but that doesn't stop Jeffrey Benson and some other people are putting up potential Kentucky Derby winners. And again, you don't even know if they're going to be one of the 20 horses that are able to run in this race. It's January 23rd, Sean. Is there any 1, 2, 3, 5 that you have your eyes on, or is it way too early for you?
Maybe in years past, just because, the mindset was you had to have, raced as a 2-year-old, get ready, grow into that 3-year-old body that we're going to see these 3-year-old colts run on that first Saturday in May. But, you look back and just 7 years ago, Justify at this time in 2018 hadn't even run a maiden race yet. Wins his maiden race, I believe wins the San Felipe and then the Santa Anita handicap. So, we've come into a different time where, horses are getting a little bit more of a layoff. We're talking $1 million, animals. So, trainers and owners are being a little bit more cautious on what they're doing as a 2-year-old. I wouldn't put much weight into what they've done, previous in the years. And not only that, but even what they're doing in January. Another curse that we've heard of is, horses don't win the Breeders' Cup juvenile and then win the the first Saturday in May. Now, that has happened, but that's been kind of a knock against horses. So you look at what horses have done as 2-year-olds, you look at what they're doing, growing up into, their January 3-year-old year. And yeah, we might, want to pin our nose and, ear hole, 1 or 2 horses, but at the same time, everybody else is doing the same thing. So it's not like you're being any different. It's not like you're getting a really good price. And now these horses have to stay healthy. They have to continue growing. And then not only that, they got to beat 19 other horses in the gate in May. So, yeah, there's horses that, people are looking at. They're looking at how they're growing. But if it's me, I'm not putting my money on a horse. I'm not putting a pin on that horse and really living and dying on that bet. I'm looking at what they're doing when other horses are growing into what they are as a 3-year-old, and then kind of facing horses that are not only winners winning a maiden race, but, growing up into a grade 1, a grade 2 race when you're talking about, the Holy Bull, the San Felipe, the Santa Anita, the Florida Derby. So, those are the kind of races that really separate horses when we're talking about the first Saturday in May.
Pegasus World Cup 2025, what do your eyes see?
Yeah, and so if you've watched our shows in previous years, and you're gonna hear me harp on it more and more, and as we get into Triple Crown races. But for me, the pace makes the race. It's everybody says it. It's a very corny thing to say, but that's the first thing I do when I handicap a race. So as I go through this race, I look to see what horses are going to be up and near the lead, and what horses need the lead. So if we start at the rail, the number 1 Mixto, this horse has gate speed. He doesn't need the lead, but Frankie Dettori also doesn't want to give away that rail and then be shuffled back into a place that this horse doesn't run his best races. So Frankie's going to shove a little bit out of the gate with the number 1 Mixto. And then directly outside, we have the number 2 Saudi Crown. We know what this horse did at the Saudi Cup when he was left alone on the lead. He almost grinded on that lead, if not for Senor Buscador and Ushba Tesoro coming flying from the back. This horse put away other speed type horses and just really ran on. Now, what has that horse done since then? Kind of threw the bit in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, but he's also running 2 ungraded stakes races. So he's not necessarily running against a field that he's going to see in this type of race. He needs the lead. He cannot pass horses of this caliber. So we're going to see Florent Giroux and the number 2 Saudi Crown, I think, just absolutely shoved from the 2 pole post and just try and separate from this field, try and settle a little bit. But there's other speed in this race. Number 3, Newgrange, a big old price at 20-1. This horse does not pass other horses in the lane. So it's another horse that needs the lead. He's going to gun from the rail with Harmio. So he's also going to put that kind of pace on the number 2 Saudi Crown. The number 6 Stronghold is very similar to Mixto. Doesn't need the lead, but he's going to be up and near the lead. He's going to cause problems with other horses that want to have that pace. And then finally, we're looking at the number 10 Skippy Longstocking. It's another horse that just doesn't do a lot of passing late in the race, but he's also breaking from that number 10 outside post. So Tyler Gaffleone's going to have to shove in order to clear the other 9 horses in front of him. So in my opinion, we're going to get some pace to run into, and maybe from off the pace, maybe from, just sitting from off the lead. So with that being said, I'll kind of go into my selections of the race. And, another kind of handicapping angle that I talk about is, a horse for the course. What horse has raced on this track, raced on this dirt track, and absolutely loved it? And that's the number 4 White Barrio. He has 8 career starts over the Gulfstream Park dirt track with 6 wins and 1 second place finish. And these aren't against, maiden fields. These aren't against ungraded stakes races. We're talking about graded races at Gulfstream. So he's going up against good quality horses. Irad Ortiz stays aboard. He's ridden White Barrio in his last 5 races. So this is going to make 6 races in a row. You're talking about a very good and aggressive rider that doesn't shy away from holes to try and, feed through that narrow opening. He knows his horse. He knows what Saffie Joseph wants out of his horse. So that's going to be my top pick. the number 4 White Abarrio. He can be up and near the pace. I don't think he's going to be in this type of pace race, and he is more than capable from running from off the pace. So my top pick is going to be the number 4 White Abarrio at 3-1. And then I kind of talked about it earlier. My second choice, coming from all the way from over at the West Coast at Santa Anita, is the number 6 Stronghold at 10-1. Antonio Fresu stays on. This is going to be his 9th start riding his horse, so he knows this horse. The number 6 Stronghold doesn't need a lot of pace to run into. He likes to sit from a mid-pack tracking position. He can go up and pressure those leaders, but we talk about the pace of the race. He doesn't need to be up and in touch with those leaders. I think they're going to be cooking up front. He's going to let those horses kind of come back to him. And then not only that, from a horse that isn't a closer, isn't a horse that, is really going to be the Zenyatta type that's going to sit back and let horses cook and just come flying late. The number 6 Stronghold actually has a really good late pace figure. So if he can kind of just stay in touch, get a good relaxing trip, mid-pack, 3 lengths, 2 lengths back, I think we're going to see a big effort from the 6 Stronghold. And at a price at 10-1, I really like what that horse is, the horse's chances at that price. And then we kind of skip down to the number 11 Locked. This is the 5-2 favorite, very lightly raced 4-year-old horse, only going to make his 7th start of the year. Was really kind of pointed towards, I wouldn't say greatness, but really a dangerous 3-year-old going into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. This horse has been favored in every one of his starts except for his maiden start at Saratoga. And we all know how much money, gets floated around Saratoga. There's a lot of good horses up there, but this horse has done nothing wrong outside of that Breeders' Cup Juvenile race, not last year, but 2 years ago. 4 wins and 6 starts, but this is a horse that doesn't want to come from too far back. He did do that in the Breeders' Cup, not Breeders' Cup, but the Breeders' Futurity in Keeneland. But he was also a 76 cent favorite on the dollar. So kind of did what he was expected to do. I think this horse kind of has his back up against the wall with having to break from that 11 post. Like I said, doesn't want to be too far back, wants to clear a few horses coming from all the way on the outside at 5-2. He's also going up against horses that have a little bit better of experience, a little bit better caliber than he's used to going up against. So he is going to be favored, but, back up against the wall, breaking from the outside post, going to have to clear over, going to go up against tougher horses. That's not necessarily a recipe on what I like in swallowing a 5-2 favorite position. So that's going to be my third choice. Not my top pick, but again, not a pick that I'm going to let beat me, because I really do like what Todd Pletcher's done with this horse. He noticed that there was an issue after the Breeders' Cup. He gave the horse rest, and all this horse has done is just blow away his competition in 2 starts. Now, again, going to have to step up just a little bit with this post position and the quality of horses that he's going to go up against. And my fourth choice, I kind of talked about it earlier with the speed of the race. The number 1 Mixto at 10-1. I really like that he's going to just save ground the entire way around. I don't think Frankie is going to get bold and try to chase the pace unless something happens to Saudi Crown and Newgrange and Skippy Longstocking where they just don't go. Maybe he walks the dog up front, but that's not a handicapping angle that, I'm looking for in this race with this horse. I do like that he's going to, like I said, save ground, sit up and near that lead. And if White Abarrio and Locked and some of these closers don't have the closing kick, maybe Frankie Dettori can steal this race with saving all the ground. We've seen it with, the likes of Mystic Dan and Rich Strike in the Kentucky Derby. So it's not something that can't not be done. He will be saving all the ground. We're just going to see what that pace looks like, closing from home and how much ground he can save if a hole opens. If not, he's going to have to swing way wide, and that's not necessarily a recipe for success. So my picks are going to be number 4 White Abarrio at 3-1, the number 6 Stronghold at 10-1. We're going to try and beat Locked, the favorite. My third choice at 11-1, at 5-2. I'm sorry, and my fourth choice is the number 1 Mixto at 10-1.
And as always, I had the scroller set up for you. Your exacta for the race.
Yeah, so let's get a little bit weird. I do really like. I think the number 4 and the number 11 are going to be tough to beat. So, but I do like the number 6 Stronghold. So we're going to go 4, 6, 11 up top, and then we're going to get a little bit weird and add prices underneath. So it's going to be 4, 6, 11 up top, over 1, 4, 5, 6, and 11, and for $1 that costs you $12 to punch.
Last question, Sean. Outlook for you, and I'm going to say this tongue in cheek because I've been a race guy since I was allowed to sneak in. You know, I started on the dogs. I've graduated to the horses. I'm a numbers guy. I used to be a race informed guy. Now I just go, I watch the tote board. I look for a horse that opens up at 9-1. And then next thing you know, he's 7-1. And then 5 minutes to post, he's 5-1. And then as they're loading him in, he drops to 5-2. That's my hit. You know, I'm always thinking the wise guys, know something. What's the outlook for racing in 2025? And if Sean Alvarez could write the script, we want to see this thing thrive, and everyone just throwing dirt on it. What can we expect in 2025, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I always just fingers crossed. We just want really competitive racing. I respect Chad Brown and Bob Baffert, but when they have 3 or 4 horses in a 5-horse race, and most of them are 3-5, 6-5, 7-5. And Chad Brown does the same thing over, in Saratoga. It's nothing against them. They're entering their horses, but we need competitive racing. We need full fields, and we need safe racing. That's number one. We need the horses, to go out there and be as safe as they can, come back to the barn and keep going out there and racing, and get back into the breeder's barn, and get these quality horses up. But I've really liked what Santa Anita's done. I hate that Golden Gate closed, but we're seeing a lot of Northern California horses down in Santa Anita, whereas in January we used to see a lot of 5-horse fields, and nobody wants to bet 5-horse fields when we all know who's going to win. You're just not going to make a lot of money. So I like what Santa Anita's doing. I'm not sure what Gulfstream's plans are. I know that I've heard through the grapevine they're up for sale or looking for a buyer. So hopefully someone with a lot of money and loves racing gets in there. I don't really know the recipe for success outside of, competitive racing and safe racing. So fingers crossed we get that. Hopefully a really good 2025. And, we're obviously going to see each other during the Triple Crown. So let's see some great Triple Crown racing with, some good pricing. We don't want to see a 3 to 5 horse win the Kentucky Derby. That is not good for racing.
Then we got 2 weeks on how we beat them, or at least hopefully there's someone running for the Triple Crown. Everyone knows on X where to find you at Smooth Turn 2. But as we always wrap up this segment, Sean, tell them what you got at Wager Talk.
Yeah, I'm over at Wager Talk. The short link to my page is wt.buzz/SA. I currently have, I'm doing Gulfstream Wednesday through Sunday. I'm doing Santa Anita Thursday through Sunday. My Gulfstream card is up today. You can generally always get it the night before, but always look for scratches, as I will update it as those are announced and affect my card. But as we always talk about, you can get my cards for $99. You can get 30 days of racing. That's not a month. That's 30 days of racing. So you're not paying for Monday and Tuesday, and you're getting 2 cards a day, Thursday through Sunday, 1 card a day for Wednesday. So you do the quick math. It is very reasonable if you're buying my cards daily, especially as we get closer to, all these Kentucky Derby prep races. You're going to get a lot of cards on a lot of different days for a cheaper option than just buying my 1 day, 1 card a day.
Sean, I thank you for reaching out, slipping into my DMs. This platform, this stage is yours. So any other big races coming up, please feel free to drop us a DM and we'll get you on and we'll break them down.
Absolutely, will do. Like I said, we've got the Triple Crown, but we've also got Kentucky Derby prep races. So I know everybody wants to talk about that, whether it's, betting on the actual race that day, or like you said, just we can also talk about Kentucky Derby futures. So let's make some money from the listeners and you and I ourselves as well.
Sean, tell the boys and girls from Vegas that the East Coast missed them. Hope to see you soon. Hopefully, maybe in March Madness. How's that sound?
Absolutely. Sounds good. I will give my best to Mr. Benson. I know you and I both think very highly of him.
Sounds like a plan. Take care. Behave yourself, will you?
I'll try.
Sean Alvarez, go find him at Smooth Turn 2. Go check out his card. Guys, you can't get a better deal in racing. Go buy the long-term card. This guy is on top of it like no other. Trust yourselves. Trust Sean. If you're a horse race guy, shame on you if you're not investing with Sean. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned. Let me just switch this here. Multitasking, people, multitasking here. Here we go. How's this? There we go. Great show. Paul Stone at Paul Stone Sports at paulstonesports.org. Go check him out. Our last college football talk as we talked about the game itself, and then, of course, getting everyone ready for 2025. Paul will be back. Excuse me. Conference Championship March Madness. He does basketball as well. So go check out Paul. Go check out his website. I know a lot of people that use his service, and as you listen throughout the season, knowledge second to none. So go follow Paul and go check out his website. Sean Alvarez, good friend and colleague, talking horses. I enjoy when I get out to Vegas. Was sitting, whether it's at the Circa or the Westgate, talking horses, talking shop. Sean, one of the best in the business, knows these horses, jockeys, trainers, owners, inside and out. If you're a horse fan, go follow Sean at Smooth Turn 2. Go check out, like I said, for $99 and 30 days of racing, not 30 days in the month, 30 days of racing for $3 a day. If you can't afford that, you probably shouldn't be betting. So ECSI VIPs last night, 4-0. Yes, I said it, 4-0. I, in the alert, specifically said a run is coming. Let's hope last night is the jump start. 4-0 in college hoops. Anyone interested in joining the ECSI VIP experience, go to eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. And then top right corner, plans and pricing, scroll all the way down. You're going to see two prices. $375 retail for a month of our service. That's the same price that it was January 1st, 2015. That's right, 10 years ago. But we've offered a ECSI VIP welcome to the family. $3 a day. Go to your cushions in your couch. Go to your ashtray in your car. I know you got $3 there. Sign up today. Be a part of our delivery service. Text to your cell phone and emailed daily. We do take days off, but we do check in every day for just $3 a day, $99 a month. If you're looking for long term, let's say through March Madness and the first month of baseball of April. Oh, and by the way, the Masters. Send me a DM to EC Sports Invest, or send me an email to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. We'll set you up there. 5 o'clock, Ron Marmolevsky at Ron A Sports to talk finale in the college football and to break down Bills and Chiefs and Washington and the Eagles. Everyone have a blessed day. Enjoy your afternoon, and we'll be back at 5 o'clock. Stay tuned.